Good evening and welcome to the Glenorchy City Council special meeting. This special meeting will be live streamed on the Council's website, Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I would like to draw your attention to the Aldermen present tonight. So we have Alderman Russell Yaxley, we have Councillor Molly Kendall, Councillor Harry Quick, Alderman Jen Dunsby. I am the Acting Mayor, Sue Hickey. We have the General Manager, Tony McMullen, and then we have Alderman Stephen King, Alderman Stuart Slade and Alderman Shane Alderton. We do have an apology tonight from Alderman Josh Cockshut. I do want to remind everyone that we have very strict work health and safety procedures and protocols here at council meetings at all times. And I would like to acknowledge and pay respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the original and traditional owners and continuing custodians of the land and their elders past and present. We now move on to item 2, pecuniary interest notification. Does anyone have any pecuniary interest? No? Question time. We have 15 minutes for question time. Do we have any questions from the floor? No? Ms. Brand, you don't want one? No? No question? No? Great. Okay. Now moving on to item 4. This is the 2024-25 budget estimates. Do I have a mover? Please. Thank you very much, Councillor King. A seconder, thank you very much, Alderman.
Quick.
Oh, Quick, sorry, and Alderman King. Would you like to address this, please?
Yeah, I mean, this and the couple of other budget items that are here tonight give us an opportunity to not only look forward, but also to look backwards. And I would like to place on the public record my thanks to my fellow councillors and aldermen for the work that we've done over the past 12 months. It hasn't been easy. In the Harvey Norman Mercury, they highlighted 6 when our number was really 5, but typical negative of the local newspaper. We have achieved lots of things during the past 12 months. I'm a beneficiary of a wonderful new playground 100 yards away from my front door. And in Calander Crescent, I've seen the flood mitigation at first hand. And I'd like to thank everyone involved in not only the flood mitigation, but the wonderful almost rejuvenation of the 10 parks that we've got in our municipality. So I'd like to place on record my appreciation to our General Manager and to the various directors that are here tonight for the wonderful work that they've done. And not only them, but the staff beneath them that in all sorts of weathers are out there doing the things that we've planned. We're remote from, the actual spreading of pine bark and putting in place flood mitigation things. As I say, it's been a bit of a difficult year because we were sidetracked by the pool, and to our credit as a group of aldermen and councillors, we haven't been really blindsided to focusing too much on the pool, despite the Save the Pool people out there racing. I mean, I don't know what we had to save. The pool was there, and we had plans to rejuvenate it. Thankfully, we've got commitment from the state government for $5 million. So in the hopefully in the next 12 months, we'll see some progress along there. while I'm putting things on the record, I'm disappointed in the state government. Lots of things have been mooted over the past 12 months happening in Glenorchy. But, for example, one thing, the transport corridor has been talked about and talked about and talked about, and nothing's been done. Finally, to all the people who have been involved in all this budget discussion and planning, I'd like to thank you personally. I think you've done a tremendous job. I really do. It hasn't been easy. I guess it's been complicated by the state government valuer putting in another sort of, not stumbling block, but another additional expense to the ratepayers. But as we've said in our explanatory memorandum, we do have in place systems so that if people are really doing it tough, they're able to come to us and talk about what we can do to help them in times of trouble. So finally, I've enjoyed the past 12 months. As I say, we've had a few things to sort of distract us, but I've really enjoyed working with the other 9 councillors, and especially Tony and the staff. You've done a bloody good job, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor King. So quick, sorry. I'll go get this right one of these days.
Yeah.
Alderman King.
Yeah, close enough, close enough. I just want to concur with, who's that fellow over there? Councillor Quick.
Yes.
Yeah, concur with everything you said there, and we have had strong financial management. I'm grateful to the General Manager and his team. Wonderful team we've got here. It's probably the best I've seen it since I've been on council, which is a long time, and a lot of good things happening. A lot more yet to happen. Really excited by the future for this council and the progress that's being made. It is a great team to work with at GCC, so thank you to the General Manager and to the staff, and we're very fortunate. It is an exciting time, and I look forward to future progress, and I don't think we need to say any more than that, but we're in a good place.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alderman Yaxley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions I've got just around the budget. I just wanted to clarify, if I could, just regarding what measures have been made to ensure that there's no excess or unnecessary expenses in the budget. We've done any work around that?
Yeah, so the first thing to note is that in terms of increases in expenditure lines in the budget is that we have kept those to CPI, so no excessive increases. The second thing is that any new initiatives that Council brings forward in the budget process, as we do year on year, that has to go through the run the gauntlet of a budget bid process and be assessed as part of that pretty rigorous process. And really the third thing is that we make sure that we don't have any new or additional expenses that are outside of those agreed initiatives. So effectively we keep fairly tight lid on increases in expenditure.
That's great. The other question I had was just around the risks. Without getting your crystal ball out, are there any other risks that we should be aware of in the upcoming budget?
We're really seeing, I think, it's a fairly normal set of budget risks this year. So the usual risks around the inflation rate, changes in interest rates, cost escalation has been another issue that we've had to contend with over the past several years. That seems to be slowing somewhat. We've also had we've always got the risk of unforeseen infrastructure damage. So if there's a storm event, as we saw with flash flooding in Berrydale, there's always the risk of those emergency activities, which we self-insure for. We don't, because the cost of actually insuring for those would be prohibitive. So if that occurs, we look to state and federal funding to deal with those issues. And probably the only exceptional risks that we're looking at this year is the the future of local government review. We don't know how that is going to play out with a fresh minority of government in power. We're not quite sure whether or how that might impact on local government operations.
Yeah. And I've just got two others for me. Just regarding the Tolosa Dam, obviously it's stage A is nearing that completion. Have we factored that in terms of the costings, in terms of the maintenance and the looking after it?
I think one of the first things that our maintenance staff did was to get onto the director and our deputy general manager and say that is a very big piece of dirt and it's going to involve a significant piece of additional maintenance. So yes, we've budgeted for an additional staff member. We're also looking at an additional ride-on mower. We've got to consider the additional supplies like fertilisers, herbicides, turf care, gravel path maintenance, additional water costs for the irrigation system. And we'll be monitoring those over the first year of operations just to see whether we need to refine the future operating budget, because it is a new beast for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the other final question I had was just regarding the funding that is promised for the pool. Will that be added into the budget at some stage to be able to manage if that happens?
So the approach we take when we're budgeting is that we don't put anything in the budget unless it's a firm commitment. What we have at the moment is a political commitment from the government, and in fact the Premier has provided us a letter to say that the government will be including the $5 million pool repair monies into the 24-25 budget estimates. Their budget isn't due to land until September, but we have, that gives us a fair degree of surety that it's going to be put into the budget estimates. We wouldn't ordinarily put something into the budget until we had a signed funding agreement. We have commenced discussions with the state government officers around a funding agreement, and the initial commentary we've received has been quite favourable and supportive of making sure that if we start to commit funds in advance of the actual budget commitment in terms of preliminary costs on getting the project planning done, then we're seeking some comfort from the state government that they will cover those costs even if they occur prior to the funding agreement coming into place.
Great. Just a comment then on the estimates, similar to what Councillor Quick has mentioned in terms of the last year, the team's done a well managed and it's a credit to every department and team member. We obviously finished in a better position than anticipated, so that was very well done by everyone. How I see the budget currently is it's very much a balanced and steady budget. It's in line with our strategic plan. It considers our revenue targets well. Obviously, looking at that inflation and the costs that we're seeing increase in the operation side of things as well. The increase of 5.95 is a balance to have a least impact on our ratepayer, but also gives progress. And so we're able to maintain our services and infrastructure that our community expects and wants from us. I guess the only comment I'd make is that we must continue to be vigilant and proactive with our expenditure. Like any family or business at the moment, we need to control that where possible. But otherwise, I'm in favour of the recommendations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go to Alderman Alderton.
Okay, thank you. So I've actually come in part way through this 3-year plan, and I do have a couple of questions, but basically I'm pleased to support the path we're taking. I think it's a good, strong, long-term financial management plan, which hopefully on the assumption is going to deliver us a lower rate increase of 4.95 in 25-26, leading down to 3.5% hopefully in 26-27, 27-28 beyond. I do have a couple of questions around a couple of things that are impacted by the budget, General Manager, and that's in regards to our business plan for MAC. We all know that MAC is a cost to the ratepayers. We subsidise and fund it. So my question is, if this very good business plan we've put together to try and make the MAC more cost effective and less cost burdening to the ratepayers and the council doesn't come to fruition, will we be in a position maybe if we get to a quarterly report and things aren't looking good, would that necessarily, that business plan then come back to council and maybe we review where we're going, where we're heading with it?
Through there, I guess it's somewhat of an exercise in hypotheticals because we just need to see how we go. Certainly, council has indicated that they want us to report regularly on the progress of a number of matters at council that have been subject to review. So the MAC, childcare, Project Hudson, our core ICT project, and we'll continue to provide that reporting to council. And, you know, I guess it's a case of wait and see. We need to see how the business plan performs. If we find that there are issues, then you know, we have the option of looking to see whether we need to make any adjustments to operations to change things up a bit to make that happen. Council always has the opportunity to request further review of documents like that. So council is always in the driver's seat with that sort of thing. But in the first instance, I guess our focus has been to recognise it will take a little bit of time to. We've only really had probably a year maybe on the business plan. We need to give it a bit more time to see how it's changing the MAC operations. But as I say, I'm confident that we've got the reporting regime in place so that we can keep council up to speed with how things are going there. And if we need to make changes, and we can bring recommendations forward from the staff level, or alternatively, elected members always have the opportunity to bring those concerns to the table.
Right. And my other question was around childcare. So the Albanese government's peddling or coming along this path of $10 a day childcare, and obviously looking at cost shifting some of this cost onto providers, us as a council being a provider. Have we looked into what the Albanese government's proposing in any great detail? And have we got any idea if this may or may not impact on our budget and our long-term financial management plan?
I'm not, through you, Mayor, I'm not personally familiar with the government's proposals. What I would say is that the trend under the current Federal Labor government has been to respond to cost of living pressures by making essentials like childcare more affordable for people in the community, and the approach that's been taken there has been effectively to increase the childcare benefits that have been paid to users of childcare. I guess what council has been doing as part of that process is to make sure that we're continuing to monitor how our contribution to childcare in Glenorchy is undertaken. So there were some advantages with the previous change in fee structure by the Federal Labor government that we were able to take advantage of that by effectively increasing our childcare fees, and that meant essentially that the federal government was paying more, making more of a contribution to childcare, and we were able to increase those fees without having an adverse impact on childcare users and members of the community.
Right. Thank you.
Finished?
Yep.
Anyone else like to make any commentary on the
Thank you. The cost of living is an impact on everybody, and it's no different for this council. We just have a much bigger budget with a lot of dollars around it, but we still have to fit it in the budget. Every budget season we do challenge the general manager, and he challenges his staff to find every saving he can, anything can, to bring this budget in. We do have a long-term financial plan, but we still review that every year. So we may hope to achieve, and people can see what we want to achieve, but things change from year to year as well. So to have a fair amount of consistency to be able to meet what we thought was our long-term financial plan prediction from 12 months ago is sitting very comfortably with me. I know any rise in the rates hurts. Many people are on low incomes, and we do understand that. And the General Manager went to great pains at the budget briefing session to remind people that they can have payments as low as weekly to break it down to make it easier. If it's still too hard, we do have a hardship policy. So I ask anybody who is finding any concerns to come and talk to council. We're not horrible people. We're here to help you make your way as well. But we have to set a budget. We have to set it. It does have to come with an increase. We have to deal with those cost of living issues in, and we've heard how materials in particular have been really expensive, and a lot of our projects are affected by that. I think this is the fairest budget that we can bring down in these particular times. We are mindful of the effect on our ratepayers. If there are any concerns, to contact council. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Slade, do you want to make?
Yeah, thanks, Acting Mayor. I think I support the recommendations in relation to the budget for this year. I think it's been a good discussion we've had. I think I'm very pleased that the General Manager and the team have taken this on board, and I just note again, I didn't quite know how many it was, but there is the 7 meetings we've had as council, as a workshop, and I must admit that I asked for a couple of years ago when I first came on, and I don't think I even had 7 back in the old days, so that's total. I totally support the team, and in particular, I want to acknowledge the CFO and, of course, the Manager of Finance. They put a lot together in this and whatever. Look, I feel very comfortable about this budget. I know we've got the rising costs and everybody's feeling at the present moment, but to me, it's got this tone, this budget, of getting back to basics. We're criticised a lot for council for doing things outside of the domain or what's expected of us in relation to being a council. In actual fact, when you look at this and actually see what we're doing, if we look at the transport infrastructure there in relation to pavement rehabilitation, road surfacing, footpaths, road safety, and all those type of things, more patching, whatever. Our reserves are increased, as Councillor Quick has outlined. There's a couple that have happened. These are all good facilities that people can use, and this is really the role of local government. And I'm really pleased, after many, many years, we have actually returned, and I don't call it boring work, I call it responsible work under the parameters of the umbrella of local government. I think it's what people expect us to do, and all these other major projects are all mentioned here. Just a question to you, Mayor, to the CFO. What's our current loan? 270,000, please.
The current loan balance is approximately, I think it's about $650,000.
Right. Now, fellow Aldermen around the table and members of our community there are sitting there. I sat around this table here one night and I asked the same question, and it was $26 million. $26 million in the 90s. And people were shaking their head to say, well, we can pay for that as long as we can sustain it. I mean, this is an incredible reverse here. This is shopping within our needs, shopping in relation to looking into how we can spend the money on behalf of our ratepayers, but at the same time, not being silly in relation to loans. So I really think that this is a massive, it's taken decades. This is a massive reversal. There is certainly something within the finance section, General Manager, that has a better taste for working as a group, and I enjoyed my time working with elected members and certainly the teams, engineering and everybody else and all the other good teams here in preparing this budget for this year. But I just want to raise that because that's an incredible amount that we haven't got to hang around our foot at any time. If you go through and just see the increases or what's expected in relation to the local government provides, the different measurements, whatever. Some of these, we never ever attain those levels, and we have. It's fantastic. How we do depreciation now, tick. How we go about asset management, crikey. That word used to be mentioned once, and everybody just sort of look out the window. And we have got an incredible asset management team. I'm looking at the head manager there, and look, total credit. I mean, we've got to get these things on back. We are running this place now like a board of directors. We're a brilliant executive team led by the general manager. but a real good group of managers under there and coordinators in particular that can support us with those great, of course, staff under there as well. So the end result is that a long-term management plan for us does make it a bit simpler. Yeah, it's tight. This is tight. If we have something that goes off the rails in the next 12 months, our community will have to be ready for that. And that could be, I was present when we had those awful floods back in the 90s, 2 of them in 6 weeks. This can happen anytime, but we've got to do everything as best we can. There's a lot of risk management facilities putting in board on this that I feel very comfortable with in relation to the mitigations. And I think it's a really balanced, and to me, it's matching a plan to where we're going in the next couple of years. And I thank you for all your contributions. I support this acting mayor and in particular general manager. I support the listening you have to us in relation to how we want to get things back to budget, how we want to get things back to doing things that council should be doing, and at the same time providing those essential services for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councillor Kendall, would you like to say something?
Yes, so I would also like to acknowledge the work of all my fellow elected members in the process of getting the budget discussions up to scratch, the ability to feed in input into the budget, and also the mammoth task on behalf of the staff and management of the massive juggling act that is trying to balance the budget. I think we have an incredibly nimble community development investment, and so I'm a little concerned to hear comments about, the scrutiny about the Moona Arts Centre, which to me is just the beating cultural heart of our northern suburbs. And I know everyone can have a difference of opinion on the value of that, but to me it's a part of the fabric, and also our childcare centres, which are just essential provision of affordable childcare for our essential workers in the city. So I really want to see us continue the investment there. What I think is missing from this balanced budget is investment in climate, and that's something that I feel I was elected to bring into the budget, so I'm quite passionate about it. Back in December, when we all got a chance to do our budget bids, we could put forward something that was important to us, and I know a few of those excellent budget bids have been incorporated into the budget, but I was less fortunate. So from my perspective, we've just approved our climate adaptation plans and our climate mitigation plans last meeting, which are a fantastic start. But in my opinion, as I stated then, we need extra staffing provisions. So we need money in the budget in order to deliver those climate commitments that we've signed ourselves up to. Because without funding, plans don't happen. I think we urgently need to protect our citizens of the northern suburbs. They deserve it, and they deserve leaders that are going to listen to scientists and act on their behalf to equip them for the climate future that's in store for them. So employing a sustainability officer will help people in their own homes to make sustainability and self-sufficiency gains that will actually save them money for their cost of living. So a sustainability officer can educate people about how to reduce their grocery bill, how to reduce their bill at the petrol tank, and how to reduce their waste, how to reduce their power bill. So these are all things that are going to be direct savings to our citizens if we as a council make an investment in a climate sustainability officer. We know that in the future of our northern suburbs, we can expect higher heat waves, greater flooding, and in our own climate adaptation plan, the one that we did with Ricky, which is the Regional Climate Initiatives, it says that every dollar that we spend on climate will equal $2 to $10 in savings. So I think now is the time. I don't think we have another year to wait. That's why I'm bringing this forward into a decision-making context, because I'm really quite passionate about us as a council investing in climate on behalf of our citizens. I think we need to expand the pillars, the core pillars, because this really is a budget that looks after those roads, rates and rubbish, as the council's always been tasked, but I think we need to expand it to climate resilience. So that's my bid, and I would like to move an amendment that Glenorchy City Council amend the budget to allocate 270,000 to hire a sustainability and climate resilience officer.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Quick? Okay, put that to the vote, or would you like to have some debate on it? Thank you.
I just have a question out of curiosity. So what impact does this $270,000 have on our budget for the financial year? Is it?
1%. Through you, first of all, a process question. So we have a motion that's moved and seconded, a primary motion at the moment to adopt the budget. I'm just wondering, so we need to consider whether the amendment can be allowed. So we've got a mover and seconder. The question was, sorry?
So what impact will this have on the annual budget for next year? So
it's about three quarters of 1 percentage point increase in rates.
And so that would be passed on. So we would now be basically amending the budget. So the rate increase would be closer to 6%. Is that correct?
Over 6.
Well, it'd be 3.75% onto the 6.95.
6.7%.
Right.
Minimum.
So to move this motion, we're moving a motion also to increase the rate. I'm not criticising, I just want to fully understand it. So we're moving a motion to increase the rate increase to 6.whatever% instead of 5.
Plus it's got a compounding.
Is this an amendment?
Yes,
It's an amendment.
Okay.
Can I also ask a question to the General Manager? Normally we don't have individual things specialised that they're already considered in, and we adopt the holistic budget as in cents in the dollar. How will this impact this particular recommendation we have before us? I want to consider it fully before we consider the amended motion. I know you may need some time to have a look and think about that. I'm just concerned, are we doing the right thing by what we have before us, and will that change what's within that as well?
Through you, Acting Mayor, I guess the options, what this change would do, I guess, is either increase the percentage increase in the budget, or alternatively, we need to find another saving elsewhere in the budget on the fly to bring the budget number back to the 5.95.
Point of order there. How can we find on the fly if we couldn't find it within 12 months? And I don't mean that is directed at you, General Manager, in that sense, but that's just not practical, surely.
Brings me to another question, if I may. Can we fund this out of the Taswater special dividend?
Well, that's not guaranteed.
Well, we're getting something. We're getting at least 2.
Through the chair. So where do we stand, General Manager, at the moment? Is there an opportunity after this budget's been approved, hypothetically, for Alderman Kendall to bring it to another council meeting?
Certainly, Acting Mayor. So there's an ability to bring a notice of motion forward to council, and council can consider that. Council can consider that matter, and council at any stage has the ability to amend the budget by absolute majority. So that certainly is an option.
Acting Mayor, I've got a question. Sorry. The question is, isn't it more appropriate that such things like this, which I haven't seen before, at a budget decision when we're actually doing it, would be more meaningful at a 6-month review of the budget for this council, when we've got a lot more dollars and expenses coming together, where we can balance it, actually see where we are, rather than just do something now? That's my question.
Yes, that's a question. If it needs answering, I'm going to ask the General Manager, because This is a very passionate concern for all my Councillor Kendall, as you know, but I would tend to agree with you. Do you have an answer to that, General Manager?
Acting Mayor, so at the moment, we've got a moved and seconded proposal, motion, if you like, amended motion, that and I don't know if I've got the words precisely right, but that Glenorchy City Council amend the budget to have a sustainability officer at cost of 270,000. So that there's the ability, with the permission of the mover and the seconder, there is the ability to, either for council to consider that motion as it stands and let it stand or fall based on a vote. Alternatively, there's the opportunity to, if there's a proposal that it be considered at 6 month budget review, there's an ability to look to the mover and seconder and see whether they consent to a further change to the proposed amendment to reflect that it became an additional.
Just a point of order. Are we considering the first?
No, there's been
There's been an amendment which has been. But has that been brought back to the first, the mover and the seconder of the first motion? Because that hasn't been considered.
That's right. That's where I started in the first instance, that we have a substantive motion at the moment that the budget be approved.
Yeah.
So ordinarily what would happen is that if someone moves an amendment informally, we can look to the mover and seconder of the initial motion to see whether they're happy for that amendment to be included within the substantive motion.
And given that Councillor Quick moved it, you can't second it. Can he? On amendment?
Yeah, it's separate.
You can, okay. Well, we have a dilemma, and that is that we have no rationale and we have no, we can't justify 270,000 for a specific officer, though I fully understand your intent and passion. So it either we're going to test it on the floor, or it could be withdrawn and brought back at another council meeting. Did you want to say something, Alderman Dunsbury?
Yes, I'm concerned if we do change it, it changes the complete context of what we've actually moved and seconded. It just changes it too much for me. And so I would like it to be considered in a separate context rather than mover and seconder doing that. And if that's the point, if we can't have that discussion, I will make a further motion to put the motion as it is. So, but I'm giving the opportunity for that to happen without it being changed. I believe it's the wrong way to take the direction of this from a governance perspective.
Just a question, if I may, please, which adds to that, I believe. You said up to 6 months. Could it be sooner than that? Could we review it sooner if I may have a way of raising some money I was going to discuss later in a workshop and saving some money, which might assist in this process with additional funds. And you might all think it's mad, but it's actually quite real that's happening in association with it at the moment that could make a difference.
I think I should just remind everyone, we're doing everything on the fly here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just asking, is it definitely 6 months, or could it be sooner if there was some sort of funding available? But
I'd put the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
So, okay.
Thank you. So we now have a, what do we call it?
Put motion.
No, there's another name for it. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Procedural motion, that's it. So there'll be no debate, and we put the motion. Yes, Mr. Alderman Dunsby. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Can you just
Can I ask
clearly say what
can I
the
ask
motion was? Just to be clear.
It's too late. The motion's been.
Motion's
I don't
been
know
put.
what
The
it's
first
voting
motion.
on.
Second one.
Second motion.
Second motion.
Yes,
Second one.
amendment.
Amendment. We're only dealing with amendment.
You want to read it out again, please, Alderman Kendall?
Yes, so I would like to amend the motion to say that the Glenorchy City Council amends the budget to allocate $270,000 to hire a sustainability and climate resilience officer. I should also just mention that that could also be done by delaying the return to surplus by 1 year.
Thank you. So the motion's been put. We all understand it?
So there's no discussion once the motion.
It's procedural.
Yeah.
Okay, I put the motion. All those in favour say aye or raise your hand. Thank you. So we have Councillor Kendall and Councillor Quick. Those against? So we have Alderman Yaxley, Alderman Dunsby, the acting mayor. We have Alderman King, Alderman Slade and Alderman Alderton. The motion is lost, or the amendment's lost. So we go back to the substantive motion. And have you finished summing up then, Councillor Kendall? Thank you. I think that just leaves me. And I do have a few words to add to the debate. The first one, I think, which was mentioned in the great summation by Councillor Quick about the pool and how we were dealing with the pool that, you know, came upon us very suddenly. I have the privilege of occupying this seat, you know, maybe just temporarily, but I have made a commitment that anything put on the public record that was false or misleading will be addressed on the public. Much to my dismay, a very prominent pool person or pool advocate went to the pool recently, filmed the pool with a camera through the gates and said Deputy Mayor Sue Hickey basically was lying, that she had said work on the pool had commenced immediately, and there it is, nothing has been done. It is very hard to get a $5 million grant at the best of times, but with significant negotiation with Madeline Ogilvie MP, we managed to get the money brought forward. So in other words, we saved approximately 9 months of further decay on that pool to bring forward the money. This could not be done by any pool group. It had to be done at a mayoral to government level with the assistance of the General Manager and the directors. The money being forthcoming or guaranteed by a letter from the Premier allowed our officers to start work immediately. And what I said was true and remains true. So we have a project plan nearing completion. We're getting survey and geotechnical assessments and plant and equipment designs underway. We'll be doing some core testing around the top of the pool in the next week. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the public, anyone watching us on iView or any of these, not iView, but on Facebook, you just don't go in and slap Bunnings paint all over a major project. A $5 million project needs tenders, it needs planning, the whole electric's got to be changed, the plumbing's got to be changed, the fund for the chemicals has got to be fixed. This is a serious operation. It is going to take some time before it is witnessed as being physically transformed. But I do object to being called out as a liar for something that is categorically incorrect. We said we would repair and reopen the pool. The council is committed to that, and that's exactly what we're doing. And anyone who would think we just go in and do otherwise, just superficial paint jobs, has to be crazy, because you just don't get $5 million. You must be accountable for it. I'd like to come back to the budget and say that as elected members, we either get the glory or the slap for whatever decision we make, but none of the work that goes on and is underneath this budget happens without the dedication of our council staff. And in this case, I want to actually single out the ones that are very unheard of and often unseen, but are the true heroes of any council, and that is people who clean up the graffiti, the storm water, the gardeners, the people who look after the sewers, the street sweepers, and the cleaning of the public toilets, and then everyone else who does any of the other things that keep us in good governance. And I wish to thank you on behalf of the council sincerely. I think one of the standouts is that we are presenting a budget of 5.95% after last year's 8.95%. And we have done that by sticking to our financial management plan after careful guidance and management by our staff. And the one thing I would like to acknowledge here is there's 3 mayoral candidates around this table. And I would like to say that in my decade of local government, this is the first time I have not seen political grandstanding or playing with something as important as a budget. No one's tried to undermine this by saying, let's go for 2% or no rate rise or any other gimmickry that you usually get at a time like this. So if I could just say thank you to everyone, that's really, really a great thing that we have all been very firm on this commitment. And I'd just like to say that it fills me with pride, and I hope it does our people in the electorate, but also the staff and management and all the elected officials, that we are truly showing that we are a well-governed organisation and that we are honouring our commitment. And I think we're actually doing an outstanding job given all of the headwinds that we've faced. So that's my contribution. Thank you. Are there any questions? Sorry?
No, I thought you were going to put the motion.
Yes. No, I'm going to go back to Councillor
Quick.
Quick. Councillor Quick, you did a great job of opening. Would you like to do a great job of summing up?
Okay, thank you. We've had a wonderful discussion. I think it's been a really good year, despite, as you say, the headwinds. And the next item on the agenda is, the actual nitty-gritty about what's going to happen in our community. The physical infrastructure that everybody will benefit from. So I've enjoyed the discussion. I'm not disappointed that Alderman Kendall's motion had been knocked off. I think it's raised the issue. I think expecting the staff to manage something like climate change across half a dozen people, staff, I think is the wrong way to go, and hopefully we can find the money so that we can actually get a person into the community to alert people about what simple things they can do to contribute to the whole issue of climate change. So it's been a good debate. Hopefully people who have been listening have been given what shall I say, an insight into how well we work as a team and how much we appreciate the General Manager and our directors and everybody down to the street sweeper. Everyone is contributing, and I just look forward to another 12 months time when we can discuss the budget, talking about 4s, not 5s or 8s. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. There being no further discussion, I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, raise your hand. Thank you. So we have Alderman Alderton, Alderman Stuart Slade, Alderman Stephen King, Deputy Mayor Sue Hickey, Alderman Dunsby, Councillor Quick and Alderman Yaxley. Those against? Thank you, Councillor Kendall. So the motion is carried. We are now moving on to item 5, which is the 2024-25 Capital Works Program and Budget. Who would like to move this motion? You're not jumping over your skins to Mark. Thank you very much, Alderman Dunsby, and thank you very much, Alderman Alderton.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. There's a significant amount of information that are in the papers here that we've obviously read, but for anybody who's interested in seeing all the different areas where our money goes, comparisons, graphs, we've got pictures, we've got a lot there for you. I believe that all the information that's needed to make this informed decision is there. It is there for me. I don't have any questions coming out of it, so I'm happy to open up to the floor if anybody else has questions.
Yes, thank you, Alderman Alderton.
Okay, thank you, Acting Mayor. I just think in just reflecting on Alderman Slade's comments of once upon a time we borrowed about $26.9 million. Well, we're actually spending $26.9 million renewing all our capital works without borrowing a cent. So that's probably the pillar of this capital works budget. The fact that we've got money without having excessive debt to spend $12.4 million on transport, $2 million on stormwater, $3.1 million on property and environment, $8 million on major projects, $1.1 million on our fleet and plant, and $0.3 million on our information, communication and technology. This is something we couldn't do without a balanced budget. So this is the benefit, and this is probably the centrepiece of our budget this year. So I just thought I'd talk about that and I wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Yaxley.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question I have just regarding the you mentioned about the human resource and contractors may hinder the delivering of some of the projects. Have we allowed room in the budget? Is there fat in the budget to allow for these increases, or would they be surprised as they come along the way?
I didn't quite catch what you were saying about human resources.
So in the report, it made a statement saying that human resources and contractors may hinder the delivering of the projects. My question is then, have we allowed room in the budget for possible increase in costs?
Through you, Acting Mayor. So that we actively manage our capital works program, and sometimes likened to riding a bucking bronco. We often have things come up throughout our capital works program where we have contractors that might be otherwise engaged on other projects. We have unforeseen site conditions and the like. And what we do is through an infrastructure management group, we actively manage the program to make sure that if we need to substitute between projects, we can maximise our capital spend and make sure that things are happening.
Yeah, that's great. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No other statements? No? All right, well,
Nothing to close.
I haven't said anything.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. On page 36, so I do recommend the reading of this to anybody who can access our agenda. It does say it's noted that the majority, approximately 83% of the Transport Capital Works program is made up of renewal projects, because just because we build a new road doesn't mean it's going to last forever. Just a bit like our pool, they do need renewal and they do need investment. We are resurfacing up to 7.3 kilometres of roads, that's 2% of the network, and we're replacing up to 4.1 kilometres of footpaths, which is 1% of the network. But there's a whole lot of roads and vulnerable road user projects. And then, of course, we have the major projects, which is North Tube World Football Soccer Facility of 4 million, KG5 Soccer Facility 1 million, place-based renewal, 4 smaller playgrounds, 1 million, and Benjafield childcare renovations, 5 million. There's a whole lot more here, the Claremont Pump Track, Boardwalk, Bridge and Trail at Windermere Bay. It is worth reading. Chandos Drive, stormwater upgrade. So I'm very impressed with what the officers have been able to do with our humble budget, and it's extending it as far as they possibly can. And now you have nothing to say? Thank you. So I'm going to, you've already referred to you, Alderman Dunsby. So I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour of the recommendation, please raise your hand. Thank you, and it's carried unanimously. Now move to item 6, which is the Glenorchy City Council Annual Plan. And who would like to move this? Alderman Yaxley. And who would like to second it? Thank you very much, Councillor Kendall. Alderman Yaxley.
Thank you, Matt. Through you. So how I see our annual plan, it's very purposeful and clear. There's no outlandish or exuberant ideas or plans that can come with risk. Many of our actions in our annual plan come with directly from community feedback and identifies a specific action. So I'm glad for that. I'm also glad that our annual plan works with our strategic plan, and this gives our team confidence in delivering the works in flow rather than against it. Together we're achieving success, and as an organisation it fosters positive culture and satisfaction in people's work. So I see this annual plan as a building block, another piece of a road down the road for financial security, seeing our rate investments into action that's visible and with sensible and achievable actions that go towards building trust in our community. And while there are other items and actions that I'd love to have added, it's important not to promise things that we can't deliver. And I see us building together so that in future years we can drive and deliver more and more as the community expectations increase. This is a plan stepping forward and then not backwards, so I'm in favour of the recommendations.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Thank you, Councillor Quick.
Thank you. The 10 priorities for this financial year are here in front of us. And
You can read them out if you like to, for our audience.
well, I mean, number one, commence the project to repair and reopen the Glenorchy War Memorial Pool. 2, actively pursue external grant funding for Tolosa Park Stage B and the Glenorchy War Memorial Pool. Increase the council's tracks and trails network. Complete KG5 Soccer Park and North Chippewa Soccer Club. Redevelop the Claremont Pump Track and Skate Ramp. We've extended the Jackson Street landfill so that now we've got an extra 20 years. We're delivering programs for our young people. We're partnering with Commonwealth and community organisations to ensure that no one misses out. One thing that's really close to my heart is item 9, to research and recommend an improved approach to tackling graffiti. It really, really, really worries me, and hopefully we can find some money in our budget or perhaps get some grants from Commonwealth or state to tackle the whole issue of graffiti and get some of our young people engaged in actually painting over the graffiti in a positive way. And item 10 is really, really important, to be proactive in increasing the supply of housing in our community, because we know that housing is number one, I think, priority in our community, and people are suffering because of lack of housing opportunities. So I'd advise everybody to have a look at those 10 and think, this is what the council's going to do just this year, this coming year. And if we can achieve that, by gee, we'll be famous. We really will be.
Look forward to being famous. Thank you.
No.
Any further contributions? Thank you, Councillor Kendall.
Yeah, I'm also happy to endorse this annual plan. The things I'm excited about is our commitment to housing supply, also the extension of the tracks and trails, and really excited that we've got young people on our agenda and that we're actively moving towards providing facilities to our young people, which I think is a direct, like some of the youth disengagement that we're seeing is a direct result of kids not having anything to do. So if we could move towards providing a youth space, I'm really, really keen to forward that project, and I'm happy to see that in the annual plan.
Thank you. Any further? Thank you. Alderman Jackson.
Thank you. I also will be supporting this budget. Thank you, Acting Mayor. And I just want to value add to item 10. There's one little word left out there which I really feel needs to be reinforced here. Most definitely we need to support increased housing supply in the city through land release and proactive planning and advocacy. But we also need to encourage and foster affordable housing. It's no good having housing if it's not affordable. So I look forward to expanding much greater on item 10 and encouraging government and other stakeholders to come to our city and take up our offer of land, but build affordable housing, not just housing.
Thank you. Can I just have that clarified, General Manager? The opening up the housing is not limited to social housing. It's open on the market, isn't
it? The intention is just generally to increase housing supply in the city. Obviously, the intent of that is to increase supply and therefore reduce excess demand, so that the cost of housing comes down and becomes more affordable. And we're definitely implied within that, it's not explicitly stated, but implied in that is also increases in affordable housing within our city.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? No?
Sorry, Mayor, any spelling mistake, can we just pass it on to you later?
So, through you.
Whoever.
Okay, thank you. So that brings that motion to a close, and so we have the recommendation. Can I have a show of hands, all of those in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. Well, ladies and gentlemen, members of the public and staff and officers, I'm happy to say that brings to a close our special council meeting for Monday the 17th of June. Thank you for watching or participating, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Finished on time, then.
Yes.
Well done.